Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Francisco. Before we go to the next stage, what I'd like to do is take a quick minute and ask the audience for any particular lessons learned that you would like the panel members to hear about. This is with regards to your past experience. How many of you are project managers in different state organizations? Okay. How many of you are procurement officials? What do the rest of you do? Just kidding. So in that context, there is an interest in learning about, past experiences you've had, good, bad, indifferent. The good, of course, we want the panel members to hear about and do their best to retain in the new processes being developed. The bad, of course, we want them to also know about so that we don't repeat history and, again, experience project failures and such. So go ahead.
Well, my name's Tony Spears. I'm with the State Water Board. I'm looking forward to the phasing because in the past that's kind of been discouraged because they were saying that we were trying to split the costs, or I don't know what their thing was, but when I did our timesheet system, I broke it into phases, and to me, I totally agree that it's so much smoother and you're completing something and moving on to the next phase. I just really agree with that.
So you would advocate for, is that phasing of the project?
Absolutely, and clear phasing. I mean, as you look at the analysis, you kind of say, let's stop here because that's just like a bigger, a bigger thing that we don't want to deal with right now. But you have something that's completely functioning, and then you can add these other functions as you develop it.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other comments?
It'll be nice as a broker.
Could you introduce yourself?
Colleen O'Donoghue from Department of Motor Vehicles. As a project manager, to not have all these estimates in the FSR that's been completed like 2 years prior to the project actually starting. You have a schedule that has you totally off track right to begin with. Technology's changed, and we definitely need this different approach.
Do I have that right? Estimates in FSR that don't materialize because they change?
The schedules are usually way off. It's the day you start managing a project, the start date. So you're ready for an SPR basically right out of the chute.
Because it's forecast.
Got it. Thank you. Any other lessons learned?
Sometimes it's challenging defining, you go through and you define the future state of your project, your organization, your program. Many times it's very challenging getting those approvals through because DGS didn't necessarily look at future technologies. They had a specified list of technology that was current at the time rather than what you were working toward.
Got it. So how would you characterize that as a sort of a lesson learned? Evolving technology considerations or?
Using enterprise architecture and future technologies in the approved process, in the approval process for, it's one thing to have a team, but if they're not listening to those future technologies and looking out for your strategic plan and your 5 and 10 year goals. I just gave you more words. I don't know.
No, it's actually helping out. So it's basically using enterprise architecture, and there's an IT procurement plan, right, that each department submits as a way to contemplate technology approvals as opposed to a DGS list that may be from the 1970s or 80s. Got it. Very good. Anything? By the way, what's your name?
My name is Joan Isunza from EDD.
How it used to be my
Implementation. People do implementation as well, right?
I'm sorry, I saw a hand. Introduce yourself, please.
Karen Fruitnick from CPSS Social Services. I think it'll be very helpful to have the ability to work on more of a collaborative relationship between our department and yours. I think part of the trouble we've had in the past is that there may be one or two people who have in the project or in the organization that have a good working relationship with DGS or whoever's working on the procurement, but it almost becomes like folklore. It's like I've heard this person has this great relationship from 5 years ago, but right now no one really knows who to contact or how to work through problems, and it creates a little bit of, I think, an adversarial relationship. It'd be nice to move forward with a more collaborative relationship.
Got it. Would that be just Department of Technology or Finance as well, or
I think it's probably across the board.
all control agencies? Yeah. Okay. Any other? Did I hear something about a list that you mentioned, like list of responsible folks for your particular project?
Yeah, it would be fantastic if we had. I know that you were talking about organizing people into, pods to work on particular projects, and if everyone on the project knew who those people are and who to contact with different questions.
We can get back to that. Any other lessons learned? Yes.
I'm not so sure if it's a lesson learned category, but you could stop me. You mentioned something about improving the procurement process with vendors or getting to know these vendors and keeping some records on them or something. Is this so that we can, I guess, draw from a good pool of vendors, I would imagine? But what I'm wondering is, when will we ever be able to do away with CMAS, or, for instance, not just that, but when you get something, I have a software that is a COTS off the shelf, right? And there's licensing that's involved in this. So every time when we do a procurement, we have to justify that it's a sole source thing. And I mean, if the project is already approved, and we're doing this software licensing year after year, why on earth, and it's in the FSR, why on earth are we going through 50,000 forms to fill out because it's a sole source vendor? Projects, we own it. What are we going to do? We can't go anywhere else.
Hate to do this to you, but if you could write that down on a document form.
Sole source justification, annual sole source.
So, well, yeah, we're more than happy and willing to answer that. Not me, per se. I'm representing private sector. Any other lessons learned in terms of past experiences?
My name is Mehdi Gomeshi, and it seems every project that I've been involved with has stopped for staff resources, and that goes without exception which department it is.
I'm sorry, stop.
Staff resources.
Has been starving for staff resources, and a lot of them don't get even the nod or approval to get the required staff until 2 or 3 years well into the project. And then they wonder why basically many of the functions are not taking place, or there is no risk manager, there is no change manager, and so forth.
I can answer that for you. The first place they cut funding is training.
Yep.
You don't have the
Yep.
funding to train your own people.
Put that down.
Yeah.
I think you have to be quiet.
That's why I put her over there.
I'm making a note, okay?
Yeah.
All right. I also put down adequate training budget for projects. I think that's very important based on my government experience. I saw another hand go up as, yeah, go ahead.
Michelle Stark from the Department of Water Resources. I just wanted to say that I'm actually happy that I saw that you had the enterprise architecture in the alignment there, because we do have issues with keeping up with technology, but also, having the provisions to have that technology at our department, and also the relationships between you're pulling in program people to define the requirements more. That is something that we've already started instituting at PWR, and it has been helping a lot, because the business owners know their business, and we know the technology. So the collaboration there is very important, and it also helps when you're bringing in the technical people, when you're doing the requirements, that also gives them a heads up that this might be coming. So they can be very prepared for when the project does get there, that they've known in advance that the work is coming, so they can try to prepare instead of being hit with it on their desk saying, okay, you're on a project now, we want this done in 6 months, handle it.
That would avoid a lot of negative surprises on all sides of the table. I agree.